in high school, you know, it was the perfect way to get ready for vacation, for spring break, for school dances, for pageantry whenever I was competing. Well, the older that I got, the more I started hearing about these dangers of tanning beds, and I got really scared. I'm young, I'm naive, I typically, believe a lot of what I'm told, as we all did when we were young. Well, fast forward to my late college years. I became a journalist. That's what I studied in college. My job then became to seek and research truth. I took that extremely seriously. With every story that I put together, I sought truth and researched truth. Well, also about that same time in college, I met a new friend. That friend just happened to have recently been diagnosed with melanoma. Well, immediately, after I find this out, the scared teenager in me that has heard about the dangers of tanning beds surfaces. But then, the other side of me, the journalist side of me, that seeks and researches truth also came out. That part of me also came out. This industry is something I have researched, I have studied, I have read books, I have read studies about. I feel like learning about this industry is a never-ending task because there's so much information out there, but it is so important to take in that information and to understand it so that you can share it with others. And that's what I have been doing and will continue to do. And what I have already found, I know there's still plenty that I need to learn, but what I have already learned completely baffles me, especially when compared to what cosmeceutical companies and the media would have us believe about our industry. Let's play a little game. We all like games. A little game of fact or fiction, okay? So you tell me whether this is fact or fiction. I'll say a statement and then you can tell me whether you think it's fact or fiction. The very first statement is, any and all sun exposure causes cancer. What do you guys think, fact or fiction? Fiction. You guys are a smart bunch, that's right. Any and all sun exposure causes cancer. Of course that's not a fact. Science doesn't fully understand the connection between UVB radiation and melanoma. They do know, however, that humans cannot simply live without UVB radiation. So that statement needs to be further researched. It needs to be questioned. Needs to be questioned. Okay, here we go again. Fact or fiction? There's no such thing as a safe tan. Fiction, that's right. That's right, you guys are a smart bunch. Tanned skin actually protects you against sunburn, which is believed to be the main cause of melanoma. It is more dangerous to avoid sun exposure entirely than to get a regular, moderate amount of sun exposure. Our third statement, tanning is like smoking to your skin. Fact or fiction? Lots of laughter on that one. Fiction, that's right. Tanning is your body's natural response to sun exposure. Smoking is unnatural, and your body responds to it by becoming ill on many occasions. So that one is fiction. Our final one, our fourth statement, tanning can actually help prevent several forms of cancer. Fact or fiction? Fact. You guys are good. That's right, there are numerous published studies that show that regular, moderate sun exposure can actually help prevent several forms of cancer. You know, I am a firm believer and advocate in common sense and moderation. Common sense and moderation. You know, everything that we do to our bodies, we need to be conscious of. Everything from how much exercise we get to how much salt and sugar we consume. We need to be conscious of that. We need to be responsible and know the limits. There's a limit to how much exercise we can get because that can be harmful to our bodies if we over-exercise. We can overindulge in salt and sugar. So we need to know the limits and we need to be responsible. So responsibility and knowledge, those two things, they're the most important things that we can have because they're the two tools that can protect us against anything that can be potentially harmful or damaging. Why are people afraid of UV light? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I'm sure you have. Why are people afraid of UV light? Well, I have this quote here from a book that many of you guys have more than likely read, The UV Advantage by Michael Holick and Mark Jenkins, and it says, subjecting yourself to unlimited amounts of UVB is potentially harmful, but denying yourself any and all UVB can lead to serious health problems. It goes on to say, lack of sunlight is associated with a host of conditions from colon, breast, prostate, and ovarian cancer to heart disease, high blood pressure, type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and depression. Those are all serious health conditions that are associated with a lack of sunlight. You know, CBS News recently came out with a story. It just came out about a week and a half ago about people with vitamin D deficiencies. We all know vitamin D is that amazing sunshine vitamin that we all love. Well, according to the International Smart Tan Network, the economic and biologic impact of indoor tanning businesses, it says that 77% of all Americans, 77% of all Americans are actually vitamin D deficient. That's scary, 77%. Well, this CBS News report goes on to say, and I'm going to say this verbatim, I have this quoted up here, that lack of vitamin D can put people at risk for bone loss, heart disease, and poor survival from breast cancer. Everyone is recognizing this. Vitamin D deficiency, that sunshine vitamin. Well, you know what is the easiest and the quickest way to get that perfect dose of vitamin D? That perfect dose of that sunshine vitamin? Sunshine. It's extremely easy. And since most tanning beds are manufactured with the same output of UVA to UVB as the sun, 95% to 5%, indoor tanning facilities can not only be great places to get that perfect back from vacation bronze we all love, but also a great place to undergo therapy and stimulate your production of vitamin D, that great sunshine vitamin. Education is obviously an important tool that we all need when we work in this industry. We've heard about what our leaders, our representatives, and our advocates are doing for us. But it's time to start talking about what we need to do as people within this industry, and it all comes down to education. And education is not just essential for those of us that work within this industry, it's essential for those outside of this industry. For our customers, especially, to tell them the truths about tanning. What do we need to stress to our customers? I boiled it down to these 6 things. I think they're the most important things that we can share with them. Number 1, educate yourself. Tell your customers, tell the naysayers out there, go and research. Research sunlight exposure. Research UV exposure. Know the pros and cons, and also know the ways to protect yourself, and then take those steps towards protecting yourself. But educate yourself. Know the facts from the falsities. Use common sense and practice moderation. It always comes back to that. Of course, consider your medical history. It's not for everybody. Know your skin type, also extremely important. Know your limits. We all have separate limits. Everybody's different. Know your personal limits. And finally, be responsible. Always, always, always be responsible. Responsibility and knowledge, the most powerful tools that we have that are at our disposal at all times. They come free of charge, and they never wear out. These tools are actually what led me to this industry, led me to the leadership position that I am in within this industry, and in fact led me here tonight to speak to you about this subject that I've become very passionate about. I do have one more quote that I want to share with you this evening. I'm sure you all heard it before. It's one of my favorites. It reads, "Saying that UV radiation causes cancer and should be avoided is akin to saying that water causes drowning, so don't drink water." I love that, because it proves the idea, this illustration that we live in a world of extremes, not in happy mediums. I mean, you've heard the sayings of go big or go home. The bigger the better, right? Those sound familiar. Well, here's another extreme, another quote. It is misleading to place radiation on the list of carcinogens without saying that overexposure, not just exposure, overexposure is the problem. I encourage you all to leave from here and find your happy medium in this world of extremes. Educate yourself as much as possible, because that education is the perfect resource, the perfect tool that you can take to make a difference. I know it's made a difference in my life. It's actually made a difference in my friend's life that was diagnosed with melanoma. And after she educated herself about this industry, about sun exposure, it started to change her mind. And it's also started to impact her in the way of how she protects herself, but understands how to be responsible, how to practice moderation, how to know her limits. Find what's best for you. Find the best way to educate yourself. Always practice that moderation and always be responsible. Thank you so much.